let's bring things back to Brisbane now. And looking back at the election 3 years ago, where the Greens did well. They did well in southeast Queensland by picking up 3 key seats. And those 3 seats this time around, Brisbane, Ryan and Griffith, will be ones to watch again, because what's different about them is that they're essentially going to be 3-horse races again this time between Labor, the Liberal Party and the Greens. Now, we went to the electorate of Brisbane yesterday to get a sense of the mood of how voters are feeling this time around. And here's a sample of what the folks we were talking to were saying.
Well, that's the trouble. Who's looking after the country?
In this government, the housing price up, interest rate up.
You know what happened in Spain and the
Power outs.
The power out. That's what we're going to have here if we keep going the way we're going.
So you're not happy with where the country's at the moment?
No way, Jose.
Is there something that contributed to your vote? You don't have to say who you voted for, but what?
Parents' choice.
Oh, you just went with the folks?
Yeah,
defence as well as the young people, like with all those criminal activities going on, right? And
crime.
We're trying to control it as soon as possible.
The people who live in the area just tend to be a left-leaning, younger group, I imagine.
Do you think it'll stay that way?
I expect so, but we'll see.
OK, so let's work through these 3 electorates. We'll start off with Griffith, which we spoke about earlier in the program today. So Griffith has the highest profile Greens member, that being Max Chandler-Mather. He has a margin of 10%, so that is what's known as a safe Greens seat. But Renee Coffey is hoping to disrupt that this time around, the Labor candidate, because she said this morning that the Greens in 2025 are not the Greens of 2022.
The last election was probably a bit of an anomaly. About 10% of the Conservative vote voted for the Greens, probably for the first time. Those people and others who voted for the Greens for the first time were really wanting to be examining what they actually achieved in the last term.
So, from Griffith, let's turn things over to the seat of Brisbane again, obviously, held by the Greens, but it is not a safe seat this time around. You can see it there. Stephen Bates holds it by a margin of less than 4%. This time around, one of the bigger threats is the Liberal Party's Trevor Evans, who used to be an assistant minister on the government before he was dislodged 3 years ago. He's mounting or trying to mount a comeback this time, but he says it's possible, although it will be tight.
I'm optimistic, and I think that I can. I mentioned before the buyer's remorse out there amongst many voters in terms of the Greens' performance and their lack of local delivery. I just think that, my job here is to remind voters of the last 3 years, those failures. And I do, though, at the end of the day, think that the contest here in Brisbane will still come down to the contest between the Greens and the Liberals.
And rounding out the trilogy is the seat of Ryan. Again, it is not a safe seat for the Greens. This one's even more marginal. You can see there that margin at around 3%. So that would be the thinnest of the 3. Whether they hold that or not, we shall see. I want to bring in the Greens Senator Larissa Waters to talk about that now. So Larissa, as we've been saying all morning, the Greens did really well here in Brisbane 3 years ago. How are you feeling about things this time around? Can you hold? Can you pick up? What's the vibe?
Well, feeling really good, Peter. Look, it's been a rough 3 years for folks. We're in a cost of living crisis, we're in a housing crisis, and we're still in the climate crisis that we've been in for a while. So people want something different, and I've felt over the last 3 years, people know that the Greens have been in their corner. When we've had natural disasters, we were out there side by side with them filling sandbags. When times are tough, we're out there putting on a free dinner. And the lower house MPs have been doing that for most of their term now. So I think people have really liked having a Greens representative. They know we're independent of the corporate sector, those big corporate donors and the vested interests that donate so much to the other 2 political parties and buy favours for policy outcomes. They know the Greens don't do that, and we're shamelessly standing here for the common good, for the planet, for the people. So We're feeling good. The vibes have been great.
OK, but the Greens went backwards at the state election here in Queensland last year. Was that an ominous sign?
Look, it was really disappointing for us to lose the seat of South Brisbane with our just wonderful member, Amy McMahon, but our vote did actually increase across the state. So whilst we're super disappointed to have lost Amy, it was a lift for our vote, and people know that we're with them. we're not for sale, we don't take those big donations that I mentioned, and that we want to actually bring people's grocery prices down. We want to make sure everyone's got a home, we want to wipe student debt, and we want to transition to 100% renewables. So they know that we've got their interests at heart, and our policies would make their life easier.
So we just mentioned the seat of Griffith, the sitting member Max Chandler-Mather. He has the largest profile, I would say, out of all of the Greens here. He was everywhere last year. He's nowhere this year. Has he been sidelined?
Oh no, Max is still everywhere, and you ask anyone that lives in Griffith, they've all met Max, they've all been to one of his free dinners, perhaps their kids eaten the free school breakfast that his team puts on. He's gone to all of the candidate forums just in the last little while. He's certainly been very, very present. So I think you'll find people are pretty excited about returning Max as their representative. I was on pre-poll with him a couple of days ago, and everyone knows him and they're all giving him a thumbs up. They're all wanting to shake his hand. So we're feeling really good about our prospects right across the 3 seats, but Max in particular is very well loved by his people.
All right, well, I mean, there is a consensus that by campaigning with the CFMEU and outspoken views on the Middle East, it's starting to cause a negative impact on the brand interstate. Do you buy into that at all? That's why he's been told to stay out of it.
No, well, look, he hasn't been told to stay out of it, and the strong views that the Greens hold about human rights and about people having a fair go is why people support us. So we don't apologise for telling people what our values are and for explaining that our policies will make their lives easier. People like that. They don't like it when politicians don't answer questions. They like to know where we stand.
What about campaigning with the CFMEU?
Well, we're proud of our track record supporting workers' rights. We've always done that, and as the women's
But so many view them as thugs.
Well, as the women's spokesperson, the work I do on violence against women is certainly not limited to one industry. Sadly, it's across the board, and we've had 24 women and 5 children killed this year already. And have you heard much talk about that in the federal election campaign? Unfortunately not. I had hoped that we'd see some really strong pledges from the other parties to tackle this national epidemic, but it's been crickets, and it's only the Greens that are saying we need to fully fund women's refuges, legal services, all of those frontline response services so that everyone that seeks help can get it.
If Max loses that seat, would it be down to that issue, though, and perhaps others?
Oh, look, I think we're hoping for a win, but certainly the other 2 parties have ganged up and are not so keen on Max retaining the seat that he currently holds. I reckon we're going to do great in Brisbane. I think we're going to hold our 3 seats. We've actually got an outside chance in Moreton. I was with Reema Naji, our candidate, just on Tuesday, and people love her. They all already know her. They're all giving us either a really proud thumbs up or a quiet, I voted for you, when they come out. So we're actually feeling really, really strong and happy about that.
All right, that's the Green Senator Larissa Waters. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.